Buckle up, you guys, because we have a big one today. Today we're talking about search engine optimization tools and support for search engine optimizing your resources on Teachers Pay Teachers. This was one that when I put it out there that I was going to be doing it, I actually had people slip into my DMs, people who felt very strongly one way or another for like, oh, I love this tool, or oh, tell people not to use these tools, that kind of thing. Multiple people reaching out to me with their very strong opinions about what I should say on the podcast and what I shouldn't say on the podcast. And well, first of all, I mean, you guys know, like I'm just going to say whatever I believe. But I would like to start off by reminding you guys before we dive into all of this today of what I said on the last episode, that whether or not something is worth it to you or is going to be beneficial for you and your business is extremely subjective. Something that might not be worth it to me because of the knowledge that I have or the expertise that I have in a certain area doesn't mean that it's not going to be beneficial for somebody else. But also someone's lack of knowledge in a certain area could mean that a tool is not beneficial for them because they don't really know how to utilize the tool, right? So one of the things that across the board you need to know before we get started on these SEO tools and support is that if you don't know the basics of search engine optimization, and I mean the basics of like how to string together keywords, how to figure out whether or not a keyword is something that you could possibly rank for on your own, right? Or how to know where to put those keywords or anything like that. If you don't know any of those basics, then most of these tools are not going to be useful for you, okay, with the exception of one tool. In fact, they could actually hurt you. Likewise, you're going to find that if you have a lot of experience with SEO, you've seen a lot of success with optimizing your own resources, you're probably going to find that a lot of these tools are not really necessary for you. They're going to be things that might be a waste of money for you. But I feel like there's a nice middle ground in there, and there's definitely room for some of these tools, and I can see how they can be useful to quite a large number of people and for different reasons, okay? So this is kind of a longer episode. We're going to talk about 4 tools and supports, and then I've brought in 2 guests to talk specifically about 2 of the more controversial ones. So the 4 that we're going to be talking about are UberSuggest, Kristen Doyle's SEO for Teacher Authors, Your Keyword Finder from the creators of Your Data Playbook, and then Seller Spy. And so the last 2, I've actually brought in the creators, Jarett and then Colleen from Seller Spy, and they're going to be talking about their tools. And if you're watching this on YouTube, then you're going to be able to see a demo of those tools. If you're listening to this on the podcast, then you'll want to go over to YouTube if you want to learn more about those. And the YouTube version will have the walkthrough of these tools, but obviously you can't see these demonstrated on podcast. So the shortened version is here on the podcast. And if you want the longer version with the demos, then you'll want to go to YouTube for that. But let's go ahead and let's start off by talking about number 1. Number 1 is UberSuggest. Fortunately, I have not heard this one be quite as popular as it was for a very long time. Like there was a portion of time where everybody was trying to use UberSuggest. Not everybody, but there were a lot of people who were trying to use UberSuggest to find keywords for their TPT resources. And the thing about UberSuggest is that it's not a keyword finder for TPT. It's a keyword finder for your search engines. And how a user would search on Google is different from how they would search on TPT. And so I kept seeing when I was auditing stores and like working with people in RTA, Rebranded Teacher Academy, like I'm seeing these weird keywords that they're using and these really strange titles. And I'm like, where did you get this from? Because it's not helping you out. Like this is not helping you rank anywhere on TPT. And they were like, oh, I used UberSuggest to get these keywords. And I'm like, no. Like we do not want to do that, okay? First, I would say UberSuggest has its place. It's great for finding keywords for your website, blog, things like that. Anywhere where you would be really wanting traffic to come from Google or a search engine. In terms of getting traffic on TPT, like buyers who are searching on TPT, you really do not want to use UberSuggest for those keywords. This doesn't mean that it cannot be helpful at all, but you really need to know what you're doing and you need to know how to check to see if the keywords that it's suggesting are actually going to be useful and actually work on TPT. And you can't just blindly take keywords that are like, oh, this is working, this would work for me according to UberSuggest, and like put them on TPT. It's not going to work. It's kind of creates a little bit of a mess. So you either really need to know what you're doing if you're trying to use UberSuggest to generate keywords for you for use on TPT, or you need to just leave it alone. That would be my advice on that, Okay, the next one is not controversial at all, actually, and this is the only one that I have never tested for myself, and that is SEO for Teacher Authors. It's a course by Kristen Doyle. I've heard nothing but good things about it. So in this course, she will teach you how to search engine optimize not only your products on TPT, but she also talks about SEO on your website, your blog, all of that stuff. So it's like complete SEO, like complete SEO package. What I will say on this one is that in terms of first starting out, because I talked to Kristen, I don't think that it's open right now at the time of this recording, but it should be open whenever this podcast airs or pretty soon after, and I'll drop a link to that down below. But it's on the pricier side for courses, and not that it's not worth every penny, that's definitely not what I mean, but the price that she gave me was just south of $500 for the course. So it's an investment is what I'm saying. This is not something where you're going to get like quick and dirty tips or like the very, very basics of SEO. This is definitely more of a deep dive into search engine optimization, and that's what you're paying for, is you're paying for a deep dive. From what I've heard, you'll get everything that you need out of it. I've never heard of anybody who's taken this course and regretted it. I've only heard positive things, and this would be a really strong foundation, so you wouldn't be missing any information at all, but it's definitely more of an investment and something that I know a lot of teacher authors can't afford straight out of the gate when they're first starting to learn about SEO and they're first trying to search engine optimize their resources. But it is a really good tool. Like, again, heard nothing but great things about it, and Kristen is obviously amazing. But yeah, so this is one that would be a good tool and probably anybody's tool belt to have, and no downsides. The only thing would be whether or not you're at a place in your business where you're able to make the investment for that course. Okay, so I'll drop a link for that down below, and I would say that probably for no one this would be a waste of money. This would not be a waste of money for anyone. Okay, so her course is what I would call a support for SEO. And then now we are getting into some of the tools for SEO. So UberSuggest would be an SEO tool. And then also the next two, Your Keyword Finder and Seller Spy, would be really great for that. So let's talk about Your Keyword Finder first, okay? So we're going to talk to Jarett, who is the creator of Your Keyword Finder. He's going to share kind of the basics of what this tool is, what this tool does. And then we're going to hear from Colleen, who's going to be talking about Seller Spy and the basics of what her tool is and what her tool does. And then we'll come back together and I'll kind of give you my thoughts on both of those tools, kind of comparing them to each other, and then giving you my opinions on those tools and whether or not they're going to be worth it for your business based on my own experience with those particular tools. So let's go ahead and let's hear from Jarett, and then we're going to hear from Colleen, and then I'll come back and I'll kind of do a little recap. If you're listening on podcast and you want to watch the demos for each of those tools, make sure and go check those out on YouTube. Hey Jarett, how are you?
I'm wonderful, Lauren. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm great. I'm super excited to talk to you about Your Keyword Finder. Before we dive into that,
Absolutely, I'm super excited to be here to be able to share with you. Thanks for the invite. I love talking data. I love talking keyword strategy. So it's a fun session for me to have. So thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell everyone just a little bit about yourself and kind of what you do, what your background is, because this isn't your first tool for TPT sellers.
So my wife and I, Beth, run called Your Data Playbook. So it's a membership that provides analytics, coaching, and enablement for teacher sellers to unlock the value of their data. Basically, what does the unlock mean is how do we take data and make it an asset that really drives business value for you, right? And so try to make it less intimidating and give you the tools you need to make more money and to continue to level up your store. Yeah, my background's in data. I come from corporate background, but just started helping Beth with her store late at night when she was pregnant. And, I was like, hey, you can make more money here. You can make more money there. And so my day-to-day at work was working with data. And so then I started doing that at night with her. And then a couple years later, here we are running Your Data Playbook, or as most call it, YDP. We love enabling and empowering the teacher communities and the teacher seller community. So that's what we're passionate about. And we believe everyone should have access to the ability to leverage their data to make better decisions and more money ultimately for their business.
I love it. So let's talk about your Keyword Finder tool. Tell us a little bit about it, what it does, kind of give us the brief overview.
The purpose of a keyword tool is really to help in discovering keywords that are relevant for your business, right? The whole thing with keywords is they help match supply and demand. So if you think in a marketplace, like the context of TPT, right? You're the supply, the teacher sellers are the supply. They create products, and then keywords are really what are the bridge to help match the search with the demand side. And so what we do is we created a tool that shows you the top searches in terms of popularity. and then also how challenging it is or how easy it will be to rank for that particular term. And then we show you if they're trending up or down over time. So we give a nice little trend line. And then you can see some different filtering and options about, hey, what's the most difficult or least difficult to rank for? And another feature that we have is called first page reviews threshold. So basically, how many reviews will it take to actually hit the first page on search? So there's usually a threshold or a barrier. So if you have a product, for example, has 250 reviews, and that search term for, let's say, algebra has, on average 350 reviews on that first page, you probably won't be able to rank for that particular page on page one because you need about 100 more reviews, for example. So we have different metrics or indices that we use that give you guidance to know what you can and can't rank for, and also what's popular and what's trending.
I love that, because then you're able to get all of that information kind of at a glance without going back into the TPT search engine over and over again. Okay, now what for this keyword? What if I add this, additional keyword into or additional descriptor onto that root keyword? Would I be able to rank then? You're not having to do that over and over again. You can kind of see everything at a glance. So I love that. So obviously, depending on what niche you're in, right? So I'm in middle school, high school math. Like, I'm not going to want information on, second grade worksheets or all of those root keywords. I know that when you first sign up or as you're a member, you can go in and you upload the keywords that you want to track. So let's say that I want to track the root keyword Pythagorean theorem. What kind of information would I be able to get from asking for or uploading that root keyword into the system? What kind of information am I going to get back, and what am I going to be able to do with it?
Good question. So if you take that particular term, and again, it's something broad, so you think algebra, math, geometry, that really you want to start super broad, because what it's going to do is now we can query up to about 1,000 keywords, right? So we'll get as many suggestions as possible that are related. So a root word in this case is broad. So it's going to give you all of the terms that are related to that particular term. So if you go too niche, too narrow, then you're going to get less suggestions. So one thing is you can get up to thousands of suggestions back, right? And so that's key. So you'll get a lot of suggestions back the more broad you go for root words. And then you can see how popular. So you can see how many people have searched for that particular term in the last 30 days, right? And then you can see if that term is it increasing over time, meaning are more people searching for it right now versus last month, or is it actually in decline, meaning it's not, during peak season when people are shopping for this the most. And then we also provide what's called a popularity min and max. Basically, when is it most popular, and gives you a range. So in this case, let's say the slowest demand month is about 800 searches and the highest demand is 20,000 searches. So you can get a range to see actually how big the market size is for that product. So is it worth it to make a product for this particular term or not, right? So it helps you really gauge how big that demand is it worth going after that. And then you get a popularity score, basically says, hey, from 1 to 100, how popular it is. 100 is this term is really popular in the TPT universe. And then the rank difficulty is, hey, how hard is it to rank on page 1? 100 being really hard, 0 being super easy. And then the first page threshold review that I mentioned before. So you get all of that just from submitting one particular root word. You get all of that back. And then you can see the trending popularity over time, like I mentioned.
Right. So you're getting, and not just for that one root keyword. I want to make sure that anyone who's listening, it's kind of hard if you haven't seen it, which we're going to have you demo this in the YouTube version. So if you're listening on podcast, you'll be able to see this on YouTube, and I encourage you to go watch it. But if you haven't seen it, if you put in Pythagorean theorem, then it's going to generate a lot of different keywords from that one root keyword, and you're getting to see the popularity ranking, and I think you called it the difficulty ranking, or the difficulty ranking for each one of those generated keywords from that main root keyword. You're getting a lot of different ideas, and you're going to be able to kind of decide or decipher whether or not you would be able to rank for any of those keywords.
Yeah, and I think the whole thing here, the main 3 use cases that we see for people using this tool right now is really optimizing existing listings. Like, hey, I'm using a term that maybe isn't as popular, so I settled for a term that's not the most popular. I'm going to swap out and use a different keyword that's more popular that I can rank for. Or, like you're saying, new product creation. I'm going to create it. I identify this is an emerging market. Oh, hey, I didn't even know this. People were searching for this. I'm going to go and create a new product. Or actually, I have something that I can just tag for this. and then content planning, whether that's email, blogs, etc. So you can use this for a lot of that. Those are the main 3 use cases that we see right now when people are getting results from it. And so a good example to think about too, Lauren, is if you go and type in search on TPT and you see Pythagorean theorem, and you see the 5 suggestions that pop up. Those are keywords, right? Well, essentially what we're doing is going beyond that and beyond the veil there, like you're not limited and restricted to those 5. We're going and we can actually get up to 1,000. So if you were to imagine that the drop-down screen for the search results, when you type in whatever term, imagine that list being 1,000 long. So every time we can query, that's the maximum amount of results that we can pull from it.
I love that. All right. That's awesome. So I'd love to see a video demonstration of this now. Sure. And again, if you're listening on podcast, you definitely want to go watch the YouTube version so that you can see this. But if you don't mind, if you share your screen with us and just kind of show us how this works.
Okay. So here we're looking, and again, we can go in and there's a couple tools beyond the keyword finder. So if we have a little bit of time at the end, I can show you a couple rank tools if you want. So this is the first tool that we put out. It's called your keyword finder, like Lauren was mentioning. And so what you see here is you have your keyword. In this case, we're just looking at anything that the term popular on TPT. So anything that show up, what's trending on TPT. So we see right now, this data has been updated through the 29th. And so we're looking at most popular to least popular keywords. So Thanksgiving, right? Thanksgiving activities, digital resources, and then you can see the volume. So basically in the last 30 days, the average is 20,000 people have searched for this particular term, right? And the popularity is obviously going down, meaning it's hit its peak and now it's coming off its peak because Thanksgiving is over, right? And so we could actually click into that and see right here, as you can see, the data is supporting that. Here's this trend line. It's telling, okay, yeah, Thanksgiving is over. But you can see the cool part about this too is you could actually see the ramp up in demand and see, for example, if you're a seasonal seller, you have seasonal products, we know from this data, demand usually starts to pick up 6 to 8 weeks before actual peak season, right? So in this case, we see, hey, the peak is here. So look, it helps you get a gauge there. I'm getting ahead of myself, getting excited, but the bottom line here is that popularity trend is super important, so you can actually gauge and see how popular something is. And again, you can see that also here with this minimum range. So basically tells you what in the lowest month, how many people search for it, and in the highest month, how many people search for it. So this tells you the market size, right? And then the popularity score, like we mentioned, again, 0 being low popularity here, 100 being high popularity. And the same thing here with rank difficulty, but the inverse. So here you're looking at 0 being super easy, meaning there's no competition for this keyword, I can rank for it. And 100 being, wow, it's super competitive. A lot of people are in the market and there's a ton of competition because there's a lot of reviews. So on average, if you want to rank just to get to the bottom of page 1 of Thanksgiving, it's going to take you 527 reviews to do that, right? Not the top, but just actually land on the bottom of the first page search result. And so again, it gives you a gauge to know what's popular and how difficult it is to be able to rank, or easy in that case. One other feature here, and again, we can talk about this for easily a half an hour, if you let me nerd out. But one of the things also here is you could go in and you can look, Lauren, for example, and you want to see, I want to look and see what's the fastest in terms of percentage growth and popularity. So I want to know what's growing or what's trending the most right now. And so I can just click this and it's going to filter for me. And so here, Thankful Turkey is obviously on its way out, but like Elf on the Shelf, this is good, right? This is Christmas, and we already start to see Elf on the Shelf started trending way back in November, and you see it's starting to pick up already, right? So we're still a month out from Christmas, but this is a good indicator, so you get a good signal, hey, this product or this term is, people are already starting to search for it. Do I have anything for Elf on the Shelf, or should I create something for Elf on the Shelf? And so Elf on the Shelf doesn't seem that difficult to rank, right? So you could go in and, hey, let's go in and test if I have a product that's Elf on the Shelf, or you might want to create a product that could actually target that particular term.
I love this because I think the popularity change is extremely important, because then I can see if something's on its way out and it's, it's kind of on the decline, those are probably, for longevity purposes, not going to be the keywords that I'm going to want to choose. I'd rather pick something that's, trending upwards in terms of popularity. So I love that. I love that you're able to sort by that. And I love that we can see that data right there in front of it. I love it.
And the cool thing here is, like, if for sellers that are super seasonal, this is helpful, like you're saying, but also, like you're saying, Lauren, too, is like evergreen. If you're an evergreen seller and you want to target products that are always in demand, this is a great way to do it. So you can submit a list, basically, hey, like math games, etc., or anything else that you can see also when math games have hit their peak popularity. They're going to have popularity all throughout the year, right? But we know, hey, math is generally most popular during back to school. But what other kinds of math games trend by as the sequence of the year and curriculum that evolves, what math games are actually most popular by month? You'll be able to see that. Right? So that's very cool. So yeah, this just gives you a ton of data, like you're saying, into how a demand evolves and what's increasing and decreasing over time and as the year progresses. So another advanced feature here too is like if you were to go in and click show advanced filters, what you could do is say, I want to see market opportunity. So let's say I want to just see low difficulty here, and I want to see everything that has a high popularity or higher medium popularity. Basically, hey, what's super easy to rank for and actually has some demand, right? So in this case, we just filtered it out. So elf on the shelf pops up again. But this way you can filter out and it instantaneously shows you the opportunity markets. Here they are for popular on TPT in the last 7 days. So here you can see these ones are higher popularity and pretty easy rank difficult. So that's an advanced feature here that just showcase real quick. But yeah, that way, again, you want to focus and then you can just go through. And some of them are actually in decline because of Thanksgiving, but like Grinchcraft, these guys are actually, there's underserved. So people are searching this market, searching for these terms, and there's not a lot of demand. So this is something to take into consideration, especially, sound mounts, for example. Hey, let's go look at this guy. It's in the decline, but again, specifically for products that were very heavy on like back to school, a lot of them are going to be in decline until Christmas and they peak again in January and then decline into June, right? That's kind of the season or the cyclical nature of the demand that we see on TPT. But that doesn't mean you still have 200 people searching for it, which is still significant if you have anything that could target for sound mounts. Hey, so that's a good example of how to identify a particular product and you have rank difficulty of 32, meaning it's relatively easy and not a ton of reviews to actually target that particular term and get on page one. So this is a low-hanging fruit, as we like to say.
I love this. And I like the fact that initially was thinking about this tool. In my mind, this was for existing resources, getting more eyes on them, which it is. But this is also, it seems like a really great tool if you're in product creation mode and you're trying to get the biggest bang for your time buck in terms of how am I going to create a product that is going to be able to rank versus creating a product where I'm stuck with keywords that are extremely popular and difficult to rank for. So I love this.
Yeah, it's your traditional, or like as in the SEO world, they call it the long tail keywords. Like, you want long tail, lower competition, but I can rank for it. And so that's exactly what we're trying to do in highlighting this. And this has already gone through a couple of iterations and we'll continue to improve it based on, people's feedback. But yeah, that's the idea is you want to get the biggest bang for your buck and I want to say it is kind of depressing and sad sometimes when you you put your heart and soul into this product and you put it out in the market and there's crickets, right? So because it gets buried on page 3, right? And no one's going to see it. So you want your new releases to try to get at least be ranked for one particular term on page 1, right? You just need to be on. So, and that's honestly, if we transition, I would show you why you need your rank tracker, right? Why you would actually need to understand where your products are ranking. I can give you a quick snippet to give you a little teaser if you want. Okay, but lastly, before I jump into that here, the other thing is we talked about content planning. Here, people use this too, Lauren, you can basically get the most popular terms by month. So if you want to plan out your content calendar and see like what's popular, you get green here as unique terms for that particular month. And then you also can see like for November, we just finished Thanksgiving. So you can actually see here what were the most popular terms for that entire month here in one list. So again, for content planning purposes, great to know what's super popular, what's trending, and what's unique. So this is helpful for email planning, blog planning, even product creation too, but people use this and just get one big view of what's popular throughout the whole year in a list format. And you get some cute little icons, right?
I like this. I think when I see this calendar and I'm looking at it, one of the things that comes to mind for me as to how this could be useful is if I have a product where I know that I'm likely going to have to update keywords throughout the year, I can go ahead and have that calendar as a list for VAs to say like in March or at the end of February, go ahead and switch these words over to these words. And I can just kind of have that main list already created so that I'm not having to think about it every single month, but it is a task that, I can outsource or I can have someone on my team take care of for me. So I love this.
I love it. Yeah, that's a great use case. I love that. So yeah, super helpful here. You want a whole year of content ideas or planning, like you're saying, in one look. It's right here for you. So then going back to what you're saying with new product releases, and what we're doing with this tool is called your keyword rank tool. And it's really just to help you keep track of the position of your specific products for keywords, right? So, and this is crucial for understanding the effectiveness of your SEO strategies. Like if you're on page 5 on a new product, that, like I said, it's sad. Like, okay, how do I do? So this will actually tell you. So what this product does, and this isn't actually out, but by the time this podcast airs, it will be out. So what this is for YDP, current YDP members, we're releasing it this month, which is, we're recording this is end of November. But what you see here is you get to see what your overall global ranking is 33. So for all of Beth's particular products, this is some dummy data too, that her global rank is 33. So she's showing up just after the first page on all of her products for keywords that she's targeting. But then I can come in and drill down and say, okay, I want to look at my product and what the current rank is. So this particular product, this ESL speaking and writing, right? So I'm ranking for 12 keywords on page 1. And I'm ranking for 1 keyword on page 3 to 5. So it actually gives you the distribution and tells you this is how many keywords this particular product is ranking for and where. And so then I can click, let's say I want to click on this particular product, like I just had filtered. And what it's going to show you is it's going to show you this is your rank for that. So ESL, the current rank is 17 and she's down 1 position over time, right? And then you can see the popularity, similar to what we just saw in the keyword finder, similar metrics here. So you know how popular it is. Is it declining in popularity or not? And then you can actually see your particular product and your rank for that particular keyword for that particular product. So you know, going back to the point, like let's say this is a new product that you can actually see all of the keywords that you are targeting for that new release product and where you're sitting. So this gives you visibility to know, are the keywords that I'm targeting the correct keywords based on where I'm ranked? If I'm not ranking on page 1 for anything, I have a problem because I'm not going to get seen, especially if you're a newer seller or you don't have an email list or a way to drive your own traffic. Essentially, that product doesn't exist because no one sees it. So this shows you where your actual rank is and how you can make steps to target less competitive keywords so that you show up at least on some keyword searches on page 1.
Love it.
So there's this, and we're incorporating some of the, when you make a title change, if, for example, this is your old product title, your new product title, and whether that product title was successful or not. So basically, how much money have you made since that title changed? So if you looked at the product change tracker at all in the membership, Lauren, this would be, we're grabbing some of those features and bringing it in here. So hey, did my actual title change make more money or not? So this is, we're just starting to dabble in this, but this is kind of a sneak peek into that. So yeah, this is one tool for rank tracking. And then we have another one that looks at your keyword tracker, which basically is, so this is product centric. And then you have, this one is keyword centric, right? So keyword centric is just, hey, how many products do I have ranked in the top 100 results? So in this particular, for this term, ESL, Beth has 5 products that are ranked in page 1, 8 products that are ranked in page 2, 9 products that are ranked in page 3 to 5, and a total of 22 products in the top 100 for that particular term, right? So yeah, we can go into detail here, but basically you can click and then see those particular products like we just showed you before, but just a different view. You flip it on its head. This is keyword centric. And then you would go in, let's actually do this for, let's say I want to see, I have 19 products. What you see here is the same thing as you see the actual product, the current rank of that product, and then the trend over time, how your ranking over time is changing. And then here you have this little thing called products with potential. So basically it tells you have 7 products that you have potential to rank for on page 1 for ESL newcomers. So it actually gives you a recommendation of, hey, try using this particular term because you have enough reviews to rank for this on this page.
Yeah. Oh, that's neat. That's incredible. I'm excited for this to come out. This is really amazing. Can you tell us, Jarett, who would you say this tool is for? Because I'm looking at this and I'm thinking probably anybody can benefit from this at any stage in their business, but there's obviously going to be an ideal stage of your business that you're going to be in where this tool is going to be the most useful for you and give you the biggest return on your investment.
Yeah, I think going to your point, I would say these tools were really created for everybody, like you're saying. But if you're just starting out on your journey or you're not making a ton of money yet, you want to be focusing on your SEO, right? So because you don't have money to invest in an email list, you don't have money to invest in marketing. It's all about, you have to get all of your traffic from TPT. And so I would say, hey, if you're just starting out, the keyword finder is a no-brainer. And that's why we created it, because some people are saying, hey, YDP core is too, like the core product is too expensive. Can you create a cheaper product for people to get started? And so this is one of our responses to, hey, we want to help you. Here's a keyword tool so that, get traffic, because that's the main thing you need to be able to then start getting sales. So that's why I said this one can be for anyone. And then you want to also pair it with rank, because it's helpful to know, hey, what am I ranked for after when I target these keywords? So I'd say this is a really appropriate, at least keyword finder for anybody. And if you're a little more hesitant with data, I can start here and then you can work your way into looking at rank. But ideally, you want this tool to be in your arsenal at any stage. And if you had to focus on one as just like a beginner seller or seller that's not making, a ton of money, then I'd say focus on the keyword finder and then move your way up from there.
So I know there's, I think, 3 different pricing options for this currently. So if you're in the lowest pricing option comes with how many root keywords? I can't remember. And I know each root keyword can generate up to 1,000.
So we're actually rolling out, so by the time this airs, we're rolling out new pricing. So we're going to make a keyword finder, like the basic tier. I think we're calling it the starter. It's going to be between like $10 and $14 is what we're going to make. And so that, I think it's like 25 root words. So again, a root word can generate thousands of suggestions. And we might actually even include, we're talking about including rank in it as well. So basically for $14 a month, $10 to $14 a month, you can get keyword finder and rank. I think rank will have like 50 keywords that you can track. So and then it goes up from there. And so we're finalizing those tiers. Those aren't public yet. So the pricing that you have right now, Lauren, we're updating that. So you'll be grafted into the new tier system. But just trying to make it accessible. Again, it's going to be basically the more keywords you want and the more tracking you want, the higher it goes, because just more data, more work. And so, and then you can come to the YDP group, and then we'll do some coaching calls every other month. So we're trying to, again, just help people with different parts of their journey. So think about it. It's going to be 10 to 14 and then it'll up to there. I think the top tier might be $40 to $50 depending on where we sit with it. So we're, like I said, pardon the redundancy, but we're finalizing that right now. So you're getting us in the middle of this transition between just the keyword finder to adding in these rank tools. So.
Well, we'll have the link in the description. So anybody who wants to go check out the pricing and check all that out, they can. But I think the main thing here would be that if somebody is brand new and they would like to utilize this tool, but again, they're not making a lot of money on TPT, starting with that basic tier. I think when you first hear like, oh, it's going to track, maybe 20 keywords or, something like that, it doesn't sound like a lot, but that could be all that's really, really all they need when they first start, right?
Exactly. I've seen one keyword kept me busy for months So you can do a lot with it, because if you just focus on one niche, you can do one is more than enough to get started out. One root keyword, and again, when we talk about root keywords, key distinction is broad, something super general, and that's going to capture any, like math. Math generates 3,000 suggestions a day type of thing. So, and not all of them are unique. 25 root keywords is plenty to get started.
Love it. All right. Well, thank you so much, Jarett, for sharing this with us and for sharing this incredible tool, and also taking the time out of your day to explain how it works and to give people a little bit more insight, because I know sometimes it's really hard when you just see a price and you just kind of see a little bit about the tool and you don't know a whole lot about it. It's kind of hard to decide whether or not it's going to be something that's actually going to be beneficial for your business. So I thank you for taking the time to share it today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me and giving me the opportunity to share with you. So I appreciate it.
Hey, Colleen, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you, Lauren?
Good. I'm so excited to have you here and to talk about Seller Spy, kind of get a little closer look at it. Tell us about Seller Spy. Like, I know it's an SEO tool. Tell us about where this came from, why it started, all that good stuff.
Well, it's kind of embarrassing how it started, because really what happened is I had a TPT store and it was secondary to my main website selling the products I sell. And I realized after a while that I was missing like a huge keyword in most of my products. And as soon as I added it, I saw my sales like shoot up on TPT. And I was like, how did I miss this? And like, having a background in SEO, I was and like digital marketing, I was kind of like really embarrassed. So I started looking at to see if there were any tools for TPT. And obviously I fell on tons of different resources, your resources, and a lot of different podcasts and blogs. But I didn't find a one-stop shop tool. And that's kind of where I was like, it's kind of like scratch your own itch, where I decided to build it myself. And I put together a few different tools that I felt could be beneficial for people like me who are starting out in TPT, might not know or have that innate knowledge of how to craft a title or a description. So that's kind of how Seller Spy came about. And really, I wanted to help other sellers just get those first few sales in the door and really boost their confidence that they can make money on TPT. So that's kind of how it started.
I love it. I love it. So I want you to show us Seller Spy, kind of walk us through it because it does a lot of different things. It has a lot of different features. And I figured who better to showcase the product than the person who created it, right? So if you don't mind, share your screen with us and just kind of show us a little bit about this.
Great. So this is the page. You can go to the free keyword tool here or the dashboard once you sign up. The first page is really, if you're really new to creating products or posting on TPT, it's kind of like a choose your own adventure type of deal where you can, if you're looking to optimize a product, to kind of have a flow that you can go through, or if you're generating ideas for a new product, another flow that you can kind of do step by step, how to do this, how to make sure that your product is optimized as best as it can be for TPT. But I want to show you just really three of the top used tools in Seller Spy. The first is the keyword generator. And the best thing about this tool is that it's completely free to use. Anyone can use it. You come to sellerspy.co, you can click on the free keyword tool and it'll bring you here. It will give you limited information. You have to create an account to see all of it. But this is really the first step in most of my product creation or optimization. And it's like the TPT search bar, but on steroids. So one of the keywords I always use is 10 frame. It'll generate keywords, not 5, but 10, based on whatever you put in here. And it'll also give you a relative popularity and the number of products with that keyword. And I have a fun little stoplight system over here, which will help you easily identify popular keywords that are also low competition. You can type in, so you can see all 10 keywords.
So ideally, we're looking for 2 green lights. So we're looking for 10 frames template or 10 frames worksheet. So that basically means that the green light under popularity would mean that people are searching for those keywords. So that's good. And but then the green light under competition would mean that the competition is relatively low for that search term that people are searching for. Can you tell me a little bit about where this data comes from to say what the popularity is and what the competition,
I've been compiling a lot of this information over months. So it's really, how often it shows up in the TPT search bar. Number of products is really, what TPT is showing us in the search results and then how many exact matches there are. So it's really just an aggregate of a lot of the data that I have. And I think, you'll find that it's pretty accurate when comparing like phrases. So, and if you go to TPT right now and you search 10 frame, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the first 5 that will probably most likely show in your search bar. So that's kind of how it works. It's really aggregating a lot of data.
But it's pulling that data from TPT's website.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely utilizing a lot of the search results on TPT that you'll see.
Yeah, love that. And so this keyword insights, would this be where from there, I would go to the paid version? Is that kind of what that would look like?
Yep. So these are quick links so you can dive in deeper. So let's say you find something that you like. So let's say 10 frame worksheet. Keyword Insights just takes it one step further and it gives you a little bit more of a view of what TPT is showing for that specific keyword. So Keyword Insights, you'll see I have a few boxes up here and then also Google search volume trend. So one of the things also when I started Seller Spy, a lot of the research was to get for good keyword research, you go to UberSuggest, you go to the TPT search bar, you go to, keywords everywhere. And I was that's a lot of different places to go. I have worked in SEO for a while, so I know about all these tools, but especially for someone new to TPT and new to keyword research and SEO, that could be confusing. I wanted to be a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where this page kind of came into play, where again, we're kind of looking at the number of listings for this keyword, the number of average ratings for every listing on the first page to get an idea of, okay, well, how well are these selling?
I like this because I think a lot of times, as a more seasoned seller, a more experienced seller, I can go to TPT and I feel like I can get a really good idea of those things pretty quickly by just looking at the search results. But I've found that in doing so many audits and working one-on-one with so many different sellers that is a skill that just takes a lot of time to develop specifically for your niche. And it's kind of discouraging in the very beginning to think okay, I'm going to try these keywords that I think might work, but oh my goodness, it's so popular. And how do I know if it's too popular? How do I know if it's too saturated? How do I know what keywords to add to this in order to further refine without going way off in left field and using keywords that no one's going to search for? So I love the fact that this is kind of a really quick and simple place to come and type root keywords in and get some really great suggestions.
Yep. And that's exactly, the whole goal is really to get those quick wins for new sellers and to get their feet wet and an understanding of how the SEO on TPT works. So this is the Keyword Insights page. And really what it does is it analyzes that first page of results on TPT for any keyword. So you'll see the total number of results that TPT is showing. And this is, exact match results. Plus, you have relative matches. So instead of 10 frame worksheet, it'll probably, we know that the results will also show 10 frames worksheet, 10 frame worksheets, those types of things. Just to explain why this number might not match exactly with the keyword generator number. But it also gives us an idea of popularity based on the number of ratings each of the items on the first page has. So we know that not everyone leaves a rating, but we can get a pretty good idea of whether things are selling or not based on how many ratings there are.
I was going to say, like on this average ratings, I think this is also really helpful for someone who's coming in and they have a product that does have some ratings. It's not just like a brand new product. I try to quickly, if I know that the average number of ratings is 157 ratings and I have 0 ratings on my product, probably just best to move on forward. But if maybe I have 100 ratings or 96 ratings or something like that, there is a chance that down towards the bottom, like I could rank towards the bottom on that first page. So I think that that's really helpful too, because I'm able to kind of see that information at a glance and try to figure out where my product would fit in on that first page of search results. All of that.
Definitely. Some of the other people have been looking and like they'll see for a keyword that there are people ranking on the first page with no ratings, and they'll be like, oh, that's like, I think I can rank here. This might be, low hanging fruit. So it's definitely helpful to take a look at those ratings. And then for average price, sometimes you might see, okay, you might be, pricing your product outside of what the range of people on the first page, and you might help guide your pricing strategy as well. And then the last thing is just, the Google search volume trend is just pulling in those numbers to get an idea of how many people on Google are searching for it, and really kind of making Seller Spy a one-stop shop so you don't have to go to all those different tools like UberSuggest and the TPT search bar and keywords everywhere and all those different tools. It's really trying to make it a one-stop shop for new sellers.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this. So I know this does a lot of other things because I'm seeing over on the side, like I'm seeing Keyword Explorer, Title Analyzer, Product Idea Generator, Image Reviewer, all of that good stuff. But show me something else. Is this like stop 3? Is Keyword Insights number 3, or is it is that number 2, or is that just kind of part of your keyword generator?
So Keyword Insights is pretty much like my second step when after the generator is really an additional step for validation. The tools that I have, a Keyword Explorer, because everyone's like, what's the difference between Keyword Explorer and generator? Really, the Explorer is in a complete aggregate of every single keyword in my database. So if I go in and let's put 10 frame in there again, you will see every possible keyword and I think we're at almost 21,000 keywords. So you'll be able to view it all. So, and it just keeps on getting bigger and bigger as I keep on adding. So this is like more of like a real, dive in and kind of mine for those golden keywords or the double green keywords. When I put this together, it was kind of like, grow your TPT store with low competition keywords. And then I realized, there's also like, it's the idea of growing it quickly and giving tools to speed up, the whole process. And that's kind of why I aggregated a lot of these tools. I'm kind of a dork and I really like all the AI stuff that's coming out. So a lot of the other tools are also AI tools to kind of help you speed up the process between an idea for a product and posting it on TPT. So that's where the product idea generator is. It's really for any keyword. I'll give you 5 unique product ideas. The description generator, I'll help you create a description that's engaging, that has a snippet that's SEO optimized. So these are just some of the other tools. But I think for kind of like the entry level SEO, someone who's trying to learn about SEO, I think these top tools are probably the best to start off with.
I love that. There was, and I don't know where specifically it was, but I remember when I used this tool a little while back, that whenever I searched for a specific set of keywords, I could see the cover images of the product on the first page. Can you go to that? Because I think
Sure.
that's really, really cool. And a lot of people don't think about that.
Yeah, it's funny. So, there's tons of great Facebook groups, and I try to give back as much as I can and provide feedback for new sellers. Always see people saying, can you give me feedback on this image, or what do you think of these two product images? And that sparked, my brain a little bit. And I was like, well, what if you could see all the images on just one page, and you can see, okay, well, how are people designing them? What colors are they using? How big are the titles? So that's kind of where this tool kind of came about. I really just, aggregating those pictures, you could see, and then just seeing, okay, well, which one, I have the ratings underneath, so you can see like which ones are resonating more with.
Yeah, I love this because whenever I'm doing coaching, I see this a lot where sellers will have a certain aesthetic that they want to bring to the table and they want it to really stand out. And I say, well, let's take a look at what's happening in your niche though. Like being able to see all on one page, which I mean, obviously we could go to the TPT search engine and we could scroll, right? We could still do that. But I think the fact that we've got all of these things here in one spot where I can immediately say, okay, I'm going to go keyword insights. I'm going to pick those keywords. Now let me go look at the product image viewer, and I can kind of stay in one place and make all of my notes rather than have, whenever I do this in TPT, 20 different tabs open, and I can kind of make notes. Like obviously this resource over here, that very first spot that's showing up on your screen, like I know because I've been doing this for a long time, and probably anybody who's been even a buyer on TPT for a long time knows that that's an old product, right? So, we're going to kind of scrap that one out. But in general, I can make a sweeping generalization, obviously not to copy anybody, but like, okay, I'm seeing bright colors, seeing bold fonts. I'm not seeing anything scripty or scrolly, right? Like making those sweeping generalizations about how are they staging their resources. Am I noticing that photo images or versus mock-ups versus just PNG images of the pages are resonating with buyers? Do I see a solid trend here that tells me when I go to create this product line that maybe I need to tend towards staged photos or mock-ups or what have you, and getting all of that data in one place is extremely invaluable. Like I think that this is really cool.
Great. I'm glad.
Do you have anything else that you would like to show us? Or I mean, I know we could continue to talk about this forever because there's a lot of different ideas and lots of different tools here.
I mean, those are the main ones. For me, when I'm talking, about SEO, it comes down to the title and the description. That's going to get the eyeballs more than a picture, because you're going to be on the 10th page with a pretty product image. So it's really those first three tools: Keyword Insights, Keyword Explorer, and Keyword Generator. These are great for just helping speed up the process. And if you're not a great writer, how many times have you probably coached somebody where they have like a 2-sentence product description? You're like, no, you probably should do something a little bit more than that. So these are good steps to make sure you're doing all the right things. But if you're really about optimizing, these are the main tools.
This is awesome. Well, Colleen, I can't thank you enough for coming and for showing us and walking us through this incredible product. I'm super excited to test it out for a couple of months and then come back and do a little report of what I've seen inside of those products that I've tested. Overall, I think that this is one of those tools that is just a really neat tool to have. I know whenever I was playing around with it, whenever I first signed up, I was like, oh, this is really cool. And I'm like trying to type things in. I actually showed it to some people in RTA in my membership, and they thought it was really neat. So I'm really excited to dive into this a little bit more and kind of explore some possibilities with this. So thank you so much for taking your time today to share this with us.
No problem. It's my pleasure.
If you're listening on podcast and you want to watch the demos for each of those tools, make sure and go check those out on YouTube. I was actually really impressed. Let's focus in on your keyword finder by Your Data Playbook. So there were many things that I loved about this particular tool. I really loved the calendar feature, or the planner portion of it, where it tells me when those keywords are going to be the most popular, what months they're going to be the most popular. It can help me plan out my product creation and when I'm going to want to create which resources if I'm creating a bunch of new resources. So if I have a topic or a keyword that's going to be more popular in May or in March than it would be in October, then I might want to create those resources at the very beginning of the year and then wait until later on in the year to create some of those resources that would be more popular in the fall. This also gives me a really good idea, if I'm in product creation mode, how to spread out and make sure that I have products that are going to be popular during multiple points of the year. And so I liked that aspect of it. There were a lot of really great ways that I could use that for product creation. It also gave me more keywords from a root keyword than SellerSpy did. Not a whole lot more, but I really appreciated that, having more to choose from. And I also really loved seeing the monthly popularity trend to see whether or not that a particular keyword was moving up in popularity, staying the same, or if it was decreasing in popularity, just because that kind of helps whenever I'm choosing keywords to optimize those resources for the coming months. Okay, so I really enjoyed those aspects of it. So overall, I would say that your keyword finder is a really great tool to support your existing knowledge of search engine optimization. So you do still need to understand how search engine optimization works, how to use those keywords, how to string them together, how to choose the appropriate one, and what it all means before you can actually implement that successfully inside of your store. Okay, but I think it's a good support. Do I think that this is a necessary tool? No. I do not think that this is a necessary tool. I think it's a really cool tool. I think it could be really useful. I think it could be really helpful and certainly a lot of fun, but I do not think that this is a necessary tool in order to grow your business, okay? I really don't see it that way at all. And I don't think that it was designed to be that way either. So this is a really neat tool. It does a lot of amazing things, but it's not going to magically solve all of your SEO problems. You're not going to be able to sit down with this tool, pick 4 or 5 different keywords, stick them inside of your product and knowing nothing about what you're doing, and all of a sudden your resources just take off and start selling. It's not like that at all. So this is definitely something, in my opinion, that needs to be coupled with a solid knowledge of search engine optimization on TPT in order for it to work as it's intended to work inside of your business. The next thing would be like, do I think it's a time-saving tool? And I would say yes and no. I feel like sometimes these tools in particular can actually kind of distract us from what we're supposed to be doing. I would say that I can really see this tool as well as the next one that we're going to be talking about, SellerSpy. I could see it being a distraction where you end up spending a lot of time like looking at data and looking at statistics and looking at keywords, but then never actually like following up to see, did these changes that I make, did they work for me? Are they actually improving? Am I actually getting more views from this? Is it actually working for me? Am I actually doing this efficiently? Or am I just kind of wasting my time sitting around playing and looking at keywords? Or am I planning out all these products and looking and trying to gather all of ideas and actually never creating them? So I can see that it could be a time waster, but overall I can really see where this could be really beneficial, especially if you're anything like me, where sometimes I sit down and I know keywords, I know things that I could use, but sometimes I'm just in such a hurry that my mind kind of goes blank. I'm like, I've got to update, like currently right now I have over 100 resources that all need keyword updates inside of my store. And that's a big goal of mine for 2024 is to update all of those. And so I can see where this tool would be really helpful. And I've used it a couple of times for this to give me several ideas for, okay, I need additional keywords. I know my main root keywords. I know the main title for my product. I know the main keywords that I'm using, but I also would like to have some additional ideas for different keywords that I could use to rank for other search terms that somebody might type into the search engine that are still relevant to my product. And I can see where this could be really helpful for that. Okay, so lots of ways that this could be useful for you in your business. As to whether or not it's going to be worth it to you price-wise depends on where you're at and how much you're willing to spend and whether or not you're actually willing to utilize the tool and put it into practice. Whether or not it's going to be worth it for you knowledge-wise is going to depend on how solid your understanding of SEO is, and you just got to have those foundational elements in, okay? SellerSpy. So I actually really like SellerSpy, and somebody actually reached out to me recently, a friend of mine, and said, okay, like, I'm curious about the keyword finder that YDP has. Would you say that it's worth it for this particular niche? Or is it only useful for like more broad niches, right? I think it can be really useful. But one of the things that you might want to do is you might want to go and use SellerSpy's keyword generator, that free tool that they have. It certainly can't do anything that everything that the full version of SellerSpy or your keyword finder can do, but it's a good starting place to kind of see and get an idea of whether or not you're going to get keywords returned back to you that are going to be actually useful for you, right? So if you go and you type in a keyword for the keyword generator and it gives you like 1 or 2 back, like that's probably not going to be very helpful for you in your niche. But just kind of play around with that free version, and I think that that's a safe bet for most people. If you're having a hard time coming up with different keywords, or you're having a difficult time figuring out what keywords to even use or start with, that free keyword generator tool can generate several different ideas for you, maybe help spark something that you hadn't thought of before, and it can be really useful for that. It's certainly not a waste of money. Could it be a waste of your time? Yeah, maybe so, but you're not gonna lose any money on it. And so that might be a good place to start if you're wanting to get an idea of how you could maybe utilize some of these tools in your business without having to spend any money. Another couple of things that I really liked about Seller Spy was I liked that there's an image reviewer. I liked that there was a description generator, which uses AI for that. So basically you're putting in information about your product, you're typing in those keywords that you found that you think that you can rank for, and then it's going to generate a product description for you. And this, I would say, is probably going to be one of the more controversial things, but I do think it's really cool. And I think for a lot of people, you know, if you're really experienced with writing product descriptions, that this is going to be something that's really unnecessary, and you might be able to do a much better job on your own, or probably would be able to do a better job on your own, because you would be speaking specifically to your audience and targeting your audience. But if you struggle with writing product descriptions, or you struggle with knowing where to place those keywords and make sure that they're all inside of your snippet, all of that good stuff, that description generator in the paid version can be really great. Same for keyword insights and your keyword explorer. I can see where this tool can be really helpful in helping you generate ideas and see at a glance whether or not your product would be able to rank for those particular keywords as is. The thing about this is that a lot of people are going to tell you like, well, you don't need these tools. And they're right, like you don't need them. All of this information is simply information that's gleaned from the TPT search engine. So you can find all of that by just going to the TPT search engine. But where I find this to be really helpful is instead of me having to type in quadratic equations, factoring quadratic equations activity, instead of having to type each and every single one of those in and see what the average ranking is for those products and try to see where my product might fit in on that first page for every single term that I'm typing in, I can get that idea at a glance for multiple different search terms and then narrow them down, and then from there go over to TPT with some of my longer tail keywords. I can then take some of those keywords that I think, okay, I could rank for that, like maybe quadratic formula, maybe I could rank for that. Now let me go see where I would land with quadratic formula worksheet or quadratic formula activity, and kind of go and look at more of the specifics on TPT itself, but get an idea right away of which ones are not going to be worth it for me, which ones would be a waste of my time to try to rank for based on where my product is at right now, or which ones just don't have the popularity behind them and wouldn't really be worth using because not very many people are searching for them. So in conclusion, because both Seller Spy and your keyword finder, I think, are great tools. They're going to be very similar price points. I would say that if you really believe that you're at a place in your business that both of them would be effective for you, then I would say here are some kind of like pros, cons for each one. So I personally really like the way that your keyword finder is laid out more than I like the way that Seller Spy is laid out, just because I get more information at a glance in one spot and I'm not having to go here and then here and then here and then here with the same keywords to get all the different pieces of information. But they're very similar in the kind of information that they're turning out. I also really like, as I said before, that keyword planner that your keyword finder offers, showing the different months of the year where it's more popular and kind of whether or not it's increasing or decreasing in popularity. On the other side of that, with Seller Spy, I really like the fact that I can type in any keyword right then and get information about it. Whereas with root keywords for YDP or Your Data Playbook or for your keyword finder, I need to submit those in ahead of time and have to go through periodically and update them to get updated information, which isn't bad. Like, it's not a bad thing, it's just different. So I do like the fact that I can, on a whim, quickly just type in a keyword into Seller Spy and get information back on it, whereas I'm not necessarily going to be able to do that in Your Data Playbook. I have to submit it, but I think the turnaround time is like really quick. Like I put mine in one day and they were there like the very next day, and it may even be quicker than that, but that was just the next time that I checked. I also like with Seller Spy the product description generator. It's not necessarily something that I would use, but that would be a tool where I could see a lot of different people might utilize that. And this one isn't a big one because I can get the same information from TPT, but I did think it was interesting, the image reviewer that they have, where you can go there and you can type in the keyword that you're searching for, and it shows you all on one page all of the different covers that show up on the first page for that, so I can get a really good idea, a good feel for what type of covers are catching the buyer's eye in my niche, and I can get an idea of that pretty quickly. Again, I could still do that on TPT, so I can scroll on TPT and look there too. So at the end of the day, here's what I'm going to say, is that you definitely need basic search engine optimization knowledge. You really do need to understand how to search engine optimize your own resources. Do I necessarily think that you need to pay, $400 or $500 for that? I think that there's a lot of really good information about search engine optimization, and there are a lot of sellers that are willing to help you for free. I know I've done a couple of podcasts or a couple of YouTube videos on search engine optimization. We also cover it in RTA if you're inside of there. We cover it pretty in depth for TPT, and RTA is like at this time like $39 a month. There are other courses, I'm sure, and other memberships that cover search engine optimization. But if you're looking for one that's going to be like the most comprehensive in terms of SEO for your website, your blogging, teachers pay teachers, everything, I really don't think that you could do any better. You're going to find better information than what Kristen Doyle has to offer. And then for Seller Spy and for your keyword finder, both of those are, I think, incredible tools that a TPT seller can have in their tool belt to help them maybe search engine optimize their resources a little bit faster, or to maybe be a little bit more efficient, especially if you're having to batch search engine optimize a lot of different resources, or if you have an evergreen resource, a resource that would work all year round, but you want to optimize it to make sure that it's picking up on trending keywords that are still relevant and applicable to your product, that I could see where that would come in really handy. Okay, I know that this episode has been a little bit lengthy, a lot lengthier than a lot of the other ones that we have, but this is one that I get a lot of questions about, and I think that there are a lot of really cool tools. So hopefully you've gotten some insight into whether or not these tools or supports would be beneficial for you and for your business. You can find the links to all of them down inside of the description below. Thanks so much for being here, you guys. I'm going to see you next week with the last Worth It episode. We're going to be talking about growth tools and kind of expansion tools for you and for your business. Right back here next week.